The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
What is up, everybody? Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Going to get that logo up for you in the corner so you know where to look. Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town, they go the extra mile for you. We do the same here on this show every day. We thank them for their constant support. I told you yesterday about their same price tire guarantee. A lot of other deals you can find like that on their website at greenwoodchevrolet.com. Head over there, find all the great deals that Greenwood has in store for you. What a great car dealership and a great sponsor that Ysn has proudly had for a while. And once again, we thank them for their support and sponsorship of not just this show, but everything that we do on YSN. Can't thank them enough. We're going to have a good show for you today. We are continuing our spring sports previews. We're going to play some interviews for you today. We got Bill Amaro, the head coach of the Hubbard softball team, with a very young roster coming into this season, coming in hot, really. They have a lot of college-level players that graduated from last year. I think they put more D1 players in college last year than any other team as far as their graduating class, actually. But this year they come with no seniors on the roster, and that means that the next 2 years for Hubbard softball are a really big window. It's a lot of talent on the team, and they're pretty much bringing they're going to bring the same roster back next year as well, graduating no seniors. So it's a little bit of a window, an exciting window for Hubbard, and we talked to Bill Amaro about that and all the other stuff that that fountain of knowledge has. He's a legend in softball. Very happy to be able to talk with him. Can't wait to share that interview with you guys. We are also going to go into the lacrosse field, and we will be talking to, we'll be hearing from Tony Shaheen, the head coach of the Mooney girls lacrosse team, already 2-0 on the season with wins over Boardman and St. Vincent St. Mary. And we're going to play her interview today because they have a pretty big matchup tonight against the Canfield Cardinals. Those are two of the best teams in the region going at it in the third game of the season. And it's going to be a wet day, but I don't think that'll stop the lacrosse teams from getting out there and doing it. And that's going to be a great lacrosse game tonight between the Cardinals and the Cardinals. Battle of the Birds, Battle of the Redbirds. Going to be fun. We'll have Tony Shaheen on in a little bit as well. Softball of the day. This one, I know I already shared a Chicago Bandits softball. This one's a little bit of a different one. It's from the next year in 2016. And this one has a special place because in this particular National Pro Fast Pitch season, there was some loser on social media that, was being a loser on social media and made some threats or whatever. And there was a mandate about halfway through the season that for the rest of the year, the autograph sessions of the MPF were going to be restricted to the children. They're not going to allow any adults to go through the autograph line. They still wanted to make sure that the young fans saw their favorite players and were able to interact with the best players of the game, grow the sport, get them excited about it. But, obviously with, a scary situation, adults weren't going to be allowed to have that kind of access to the players. I am an adult. So when the Chicago Bandits came to town, which was they didn't come to Akron until they had a couple of series in the last half of the season, so I hadn't gotten to see them that year. When they came to town, they had Ellen Renfro on the team, who played for Tennessee, one of my favorite players at the time, was one of their great pitchers, and she played for the Bandits, and I didn't get a chance to meet her, but there was one young fan that I guess for some reason got an extra ball. I don't know, but she came up and she gave me the softball and said, I had this extra one, and I guess she knew that maybe she went to other Akron Racers games, knew that I always got the autographs or whatever. So she gave me this, and it's got Ellen Renfro right there. And so this kind of always is a reminder how awesome the softball community is and how cool the people are inside it. And that one's always going to be kind of cool for me. That's why it's on my desk. Like I said, my plan to rotate a softball, pretty much every day for the at least for the foreseeable future is gone because of this cool softball shelf I have now, which is holding 18 of my softballs up there. Oop, can't see it on the camera. We'll show it. 18 of my softballs up there. This is a surprise for my brother. But still have about 9 softballs on the desk that we'll rotate, and we'll have a softball of the day every day of the softball season. But this is the new one, Chicago Bandits, and specifically Ellen Renfro. Really excited about that autograph that I have on that. So with that being said, let's go right into the interview section of the show. I want to waste little time. Tony Shaheen and the Cardinals once again gearing up for a very exciting matchup tonight against the Canfield Cardinals on the lacrosse field. 2 of the best teams in the region. Should be a fun one. We're going to hear from one side of that matchup, and Tony Shaheen talk about her program's 7th year as the coach of the Cardinal Mooney lacrosse program, and a big jump in numbers this year from 14 last year to 20 players this year. Let's hear why with head coach of Mooney lacrosse, Tony Shaheen, on Running Point, as always, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back after this awesome interview. Anthony Hartwig here with another spring sports preview. I'm here with a pretty familiar face, Tony Shaheen, the head coach of the Mooney lacrosse team. You might know her from volleyball season, but she doubles as a lacrosse coach in her spare time. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a chance to talk about your program.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. First things first, let's introduce your roster and some of the players that Mooney fans can expect to see on the lacrosse field this spring.
So last season we had about 14 girls. In the sport of lacrosse, there is 12 that play at once. So we were struggling for numbers last year, but we climbed all the way to 20 this year, and so we're really excited about that. We have 4 seniors right now. Sarah Schaller, she is going to be an attack player, so she plays offense for us. We rely on her a lot to score. We have Sophia Stragus. She's going to play defense, but she has probably one of the strongest shots on the team. So she can also be used offensively now that we have a little bit more depth. Addison Stacy, she is a midfielder. She is a force both offensively and defensively. She has great endurance, and she contributes a lot for us. And then kind of a newer senior, Sophia Graziano. She played her sophomore year, but she was our goalie. She took a year off, and she's back this year, but she's playing offense for us. And then we have 5 juniors. Ella Zalay, she is going to be a name that you see and hear a lot throughout this season. She is an outstanding player. She's a midfielder. She takes our draw for us. She's kind of the glue of our whole team. Maria Pecchia, she plays defense, but she'll also double as a midfielder this year. Her stick skills have improved. She has endurance. She's not afraid to drive through absolutely anybody. So we're going to use her offensively too. Alyssa Ray is our goalie. She was our goalie last season. She has a newfound confidence about herself, which is really nice to see. And she's doing a great job so far. And then we have 2 new juniors. One is an exchange student from Italy. Her name is Manuela D'Alessio. She played basketball, so she came from a strong basketball background. She picked up the defensive concepts and fundamentals quickly, so she's playing defense. And Angelique Blasco, she'll be playing offense for us. And then we have 4 sophomores. 2 are returning, Alexa Vargo and Abby Lyons. They both play defense for us. And then new sophomores, Leah Marcello, she'll be playing defense. And then Peyton Camel, who is going to contribute offensively and as a midfielder. And then we have 7 freshmen. That's what we're really excited about, is kind of we're heavier in the underclassmen this year. First is Natalie Blasco. She's filling our missing midfielder role. She never runs out of speed, never runs out of endurance. She's very consistent. Frankie Cassis, she is going to be a defensive mid, just like Maria Pecchia. She has this great length about her, which is really hard to get passes around. Her stick skills, once they continue to develop, she's going to be an outstanding midfielder. And then 3 who are playing offense, Molly Simons, Hannah LaPlante, and Lexi Italiano. And then 2 who are playing defense, Sophia Rotuno and Olivia Hetson.
All right, those are a lot of girls. Like you said, the numbers are way up this year. 20 people on this roster compared to 14 last year. But even though you only had 14 girls, you were able to be really successful. How much do you think the success of last year's season kind of drew excitement from girls wanting to come out this year?
I think it definitely helps. I mean, we put emphasis on, yes, we want to be good. Of course, we want to win games, but we want them to have fun because this sport is so new in the area. A lot of people are often intimidated by it. So people will be like, well, I don't know anything, so I'm not going to play. And so that's not kind of the reputation that we want to create. We want them to be able to have fun. And so I think we really shocked ourselves last year. I mean, they definitely shocked me. And so it was exciting and people were looking forward to coming back. And so I think that definitely helped hold in some girls.
With so many freshmen, one of the questions that comes to mind for me is I imagine there's no middle school lacrosse program that's feeding into Cardinal Mooney. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you get a lot of freshmen at different levels of the sport. You get some that are trying it out, some that maybe have played club lacrosse. How do you kind of handle, trying to navigate where you get freshmen coming in and dealing with some players that need kind of the basics and then some players that are kind of ready to go at the varsity level when they get to you?
So unfortunately, like you said, there's no youth program for us. In my 7 years of coaching the sport now, I've only had one girl who's ever come knowing a single thing. And so I just kind of start from the basics, like you said, and I try to relate it to other sports. A lot of the girls came from basketball, and so I relate a lot of it to basketball. I try to draw some stuff from volleyball and just anything I can to bring it from other sports to connect it to lacrosse really seems to help them.
7 years of coaching the sport. I want to dive into your background and kind of what made, obviously you love it if you're doing it for that long. What made you fall in love with this sport that is kind of just now catching on in the area? What made you fall in love with it and what made you keep coming back to coaching it?
So obviously I played in high school. I didn't play until my sophomore year, but as soon as I started playing, I loved it. I always was just kind of like, I've loved sports my entire life, but I've always was kind of trying to figure out like what was my thing. And I feel like that sport became my thing pretty quickly. And then once I was able to help out like straight out of college and then the job opened up, I jumped on it. And then, through some trial and error, things have gotten so much better than they were. The program has developed. Some of the best advice I've ever gotten is it takes 5 years for it to feel like it's your program. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. And I couldn't be happier.
This is a sport that, like you said, hasn't really caught on fully yet in the area, which means there aren't a ton of area teams. There are the handful. There are some teams. I know Canfield is a really good lacrosse program too. But you do have to travel a bit to kind of get, a full schedule. You have to bring teams in from far away or you have to go far away. What's that kind of like having to build a lacrosse schedule with not, a ton of lacrosse teams here in the area?
It's definitely a little bit challenging. I mean, you said it right there. We got to sacrifice a lot of time for traveling. We've created nice relationships with a lot of the schools, even in the Akron and Cleveland areas where they do come to us. So I think we're about split for home and away games this year. Locally we have Canfield and Poland and Boardman and Southeast. But other than that, we're going full go to Akron or Cleveland. That's about it. But all the schools are very nice. They do come to us, so I can't complain in that aspect, but some trips are definitely far. I think we go to Lake Catholic this year, which is like an hour and 20. So we just kind of got to stay focused on that bus ride and still be able to come out ready to play.
We're admittingly a little late. You've already had your first game of the season, 13-4 win over Boardman. So we'll also use this as a little bit of a post-game interview, a recap of the first game of the year. What do you see from your team? I know there's always all those uncertainties when you go into a first game. What do you see out of your roster? What makes you so excited about the season now that you have one game under your belt and you have some film to watch from your team?
Yeah, we were definitely excited about the score that we put up. Again, playing local teams, it's a little bit more like emotional because there is not as many in the area. So it's just different from other sports where everyone's local, you know all the girls. So I feel like there was a little bit of jitters. There was a little bit of maybe personal feelings involved. And so once we were able to get that under control, I feel like we really had momentum the whole time. I thought our draw controls looked great. People were contributing. We had, I think, 5 different people score last night, which is something that we're looking for. Defensively, we have some more work to do. Offensively, we still have work to do. But again, it's game 1. We play again tonight, so we'll be able to improve from yesterday and then get back to work on Wednesday at practice.
No rest for the weary. You're right back at it tonight, just like your volleyball life. Right
Yeah.
back at it the next day. What's it like to like you said, not have the time in the lab between a game and to have to just kind of make adjustments on the fly on the field from one night to the next?
That is stressful. I was texting my assistant coach last night and we were already saying like, okay, tomorrow in warm-ups, we're not going to probably do our normal warm-up. We got to go over some things from yesterday, fix some things from yesterday to apply for today. So you kind of just have to be ready to jump on the fly. The girls also know that once they come down in the locker room, we'll talk about kind of what our game plan is and go over all that. So they got to be listening and digesting that information and kind of just be willing to put it to work right away.
Let's preview the game that's happening tonight. You got Akron St. Vincent St. Mary coming to town. What's that going to look like? What do they bring to the table?
So we lost to them last season. I think we were up most of the game, and then we just fell apart second half. And we're definitely looking for redemption there because we know that we can do better than what we did last season. They always have a strong program, strong stick skills, fundamentals are always there. And so it's going to be different from kind of what we're used to in our area. And with our just IQ, that's something that we're stressing is once we get into these Akron and Cleveland teams, like the IQ of the game has to be there. And that's something that we're still building. These girls know how to play that sport. And so they did lose a couple girls who were strong last year, but there's no doubt that they'll be ready to play tonight. And so we just got to show what we've been practicing and show that stuff that we've put emphasis on and look for another one.
There are a lot of people that are trying to get into lacrosse because it is growing into the area and trying to become fans of the sport. What's kind of your pitch to those people that are trying it out, maybe going to their first lacrosse game? What's your sales pitch for the sport?
My sales pitch is to definitely try it. I mean, it is truly like every sport thrown together. If you love to play soccer or basketball, I think that it's 1000% the sport for you. It's fast paced, it's energetic. It's honestly a great team sport. I think that more schools hopefully will pick some up in the area. It's a blast.
When we talk to soccer coaches, one of the things they say is don't go from watching like the college and the professional to watching high school because there's a lot of differences. Is it the same thing in lacrosse where like if you're falling in love with the professionals, you might get caught off guard by the high school level?
Yes and no. They're trying to develop it more like college. So like in the years past, every time the whistle would blow, you'd have to freeze. And that was something that was just so abnormal to any sports. And now they've changed that to the college rule where you blow the whistle, you kind of self-start, you continue the play unless there's like a major foul or something. And so they're developing it more like the college sport, slowly but surely. But yeah, there's definitely still some things that are only high school rules.
And now that you kind of, like you said, you're feeling like it's your program, year 7 now. What kind of things do you want to see to keep improving the program, keep improving the sport, keep growing the sport in our area?
I'd love to see more youth programs get started, especially within the parochial schools, since that is where most of our girls are coming from. I'd love to see more ability to bring in college coaches, kind of start in some like clinics and things like that to get more exposure to the sport. So that way when people come, they're not like, oh, I know nothing, or I'm so intimidated by this because I've never even heard of it or seen it. Just to increase the overall knowledge of the game would be nice, especially for our area. We have a lot of athletes here who I think would be phenomenal.
Talking about the college game, I know last year the YSU women's lacrosse team had a phenomenal season. What's it like having a college team like right next door that if you have a free night or whatever, you can go and check out and take notes on and tell the girls like this is what the game looks like at the high level?
That is so nice. We actually have a parent who works with the YSU team, and so he has been super helpful, and he offered to get us to one of the games this season. And I think that'd just be super nice for the girls to see just the different level of pace of the game too, the stick skills, just to increase their overall knowledge. And I think it would be a good team bonding opportunity. Last year we got I got my first college player, Angelina Rotuno. She's playing at John Carroll. And so that's something really encouraging for the girls to see as well, is, okay, we can kind of take it to the next level.
There you go. That's got to be a proud moment, your first college player.
Yeah.
What's that been like kind of now that she's playing in college and watching her in her college season and knowing that, like, you were able to coach her?
Oh, it's a great feeling. I mean, I knew from seeing her in volleyball since her freshman year, her work ethic is through the roof. So I have been on her. Like, I don't care what sport you play. I don't care if you just pick up something new. Like, you need to be playing something in college, because her work ethic was absolutely outstanding. I think it's super exciting that she's playing at the next level. I think, again, it's super encouraging for the girls to know that they can play at the next level, no matter, we don't have as many years of experience as the Cleveland and Akron athletes do, but you can still do it through your athletic ability, through your work ethic. And that it's just a good feeling knowing that we are able to produce college athletes within this area in the sport, because it's so new down here.
I want to give you the chance to shine a light on your assistants and all the people kind of behind the scenes that are making this lacrosse program at Cardinal Mooney strong and built the way it is.
Yeah, so my assistant coach is McKenna Ozinger. Her and I played together in high school. She went on to play at Capital University. She was an outstanding player there. She was a midfielder there. She got names like OAC Player of the Week, and she was phenomenal. She has been in the OAC Championship, so she has so much experience. She is my absolute right hand. I could not even imagine doing it without her. And then all the parents are super helpful. Of course, my athletic director, Carl Polini, gave me 2 programs here, so I got to give him a shout out. But yeah,
there is no rest for the weary. Like you said, you're the head coach of 2 programs, and I think, if I remember right, you coached middle school in the winter.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah, we did that this year.
Wow. God bless you and all that you do, Coach. Thank you so much for the time today. We wish you the best of luck this season. We are so excited for the lacrosse year, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
I make that mistake at least once every 2 weeks, just so you know. Not unmuting myself after a pre-recorded interview. Rookie mistake. I apologize. But that was Tony Shaheen, the head coach of the Cardinal Mooney girls lacrosse team, once again opening the season 2-0 with wins over Boardman and St. Vincent St. Mary already. And tonight they are playing Canfield in a battle of 2 of the best teams in the region, hands down. And it's probably going to be a preview of a tournament matchup down the stretch. We are going to work hard to, keep our lacrosse teams covered this year, as well as our tennis teams and our track and field teams. We're not forgetting about you. I know a lot of people are excited about baseball and softball, but we are not forgetting about our other sports that are going on in the spring sports season. All those athletes put in just as much work as everybody else. They're going to school. They're going to practice after school. They're putting off their homework until late at night after a practice or at a game. And they're still balancing a social life with all that. I will never be not amazed at the versatility of a high school athlete. And Mooney lacrosse, when I'm talking to Coach Shaheen, one of the things that's really impressive, and I said this before kind of leading into the interview, the growth of the program. I mean, talk about that. They had 14 players last year. They're at 20 now. And a lot of those are freshmen coming in. I think she said 7 freshmen coming into this program. And that's all excitement of the past success. I mean, I think she'll admit that last year they overachieved expectations, even, realistic expectations inside the program. And they did a wonderful job. One of the things that I think is really interesting as well, which I think is a testament to how good of a coach Tony Shaheen is, there aren't any really youth development programs for lacrosse yet in the area. So a lot of the freshmen that she get come in completely green to the sport. She said that she only had one freshman in her 7 years that came in that knew anything about the sport. So she's getting them to develop from freshman year to senior year and develop into some of the best players in the region. And last year, they graduated their first college lacrosse player in Angelina Rotuno and her sister, a freshman this year. We saw her shine bright on the basketball and the volleyball court as well. So 3-sport athlete for Rotuno coming back this year for lacrosse. So it's going to be a fun season for Mooney. We can't wait to continue to cover them. And like I said, they play tonight against Canfield in a matchup of the Cardinals, and a matchup of two of the best teams in the region. We're going to take a quick commercial break. On the other end of it, we're going to hear an interview from Bill Amaro, the head coach of the Hubbard Eagles softball team. He talks to us about their season and what he expects out of them. So we'll be back on Running Point with that and more, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers.
From sales to financing and even service,
We'll help build your perfect vehicle.
and lock in your trade value.
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing.
Regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
Our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Clint. Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats. Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. take that one extra step.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Mill Creek Metro Parks is your park for all seasons. Make a memory in the park. Plan your visit today at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Welcome back to to Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. A wonderful Thursday as it's March 23rd, 2023. 2323. You don't get to say that too often. I actually get to say it every month of the year. What am I thinking? Ooh, it's a Thursday. We're nearing down the end of the week. Give me a break. As we continue our spring sports previews today, we're gonna hear an interview with Bill Amaro, the head coach of the Hubbard Eagles softball program. Second year at Hubbard, but long-time coach in the area. He runs the Sluggers facility. Very into the travel ball scene. He coached Boardman to a state championship back in 2001. They're going to play Boardman this year. Got to talk to him about what that's going to be like from his perspective, playing his old school, playing a program that he took all the way to a state championship. I think Bill O'Mara is one of the legends of softball in the area. I don't think you're going to find a lot of coaches that coach softball in the Tri-County area. They can't say they probably learned a thing or two from Bill Amaro. And the great thing about him, and you'll find about in this interview, is he is able to still learn from other people as well. He takes his time to read up on coaching articles. He takes time to get into conferences with coaching greats of the softball world. Never afraid to keep learning and keep growing, and that's what makes a good coach last as long as Bill Amaro has, the constant evolution of coaching styles and being able to adapt to the changes of these kids, because we know, the teenagers today are different than teenagers even 10 years ago when I was in high school. So coaching has to change too. And if you want to last as a head coach at this level, you have to be able to adapt to the changes of the high school society. And Bill Amaro's done a great job of that. Second year as the head coach of the Hubbard Eagles. I know last year they went a little bit shorter than they wanted to as far as the tournament run, but they were also hurt towards the end of the season. So they hope to stay healthy this year. They have a young roster, no seniors on the team, and they're going to have a lot of young leaders that are going to be building for kind of a 2-year window for Hubbard. I know everyone's focused on this year and they want to do as good as they can this year, but they have to also remember that they're bringing back everybody next year too. So a little bit of a gap for Hubbard softball to make a run, and I think they absolutely can. Phoebe Resnack in the circle is going to be big for them. She's a really good pitcher, and then they have a pitcher that kind of got thrown into the ocean last year as a second. She was the third pitcher, now she's a second pitcher. So a lot of depth in the circle. They have a lot of young talent. This Hubbard team should be very exciting. It'll be my first game called because, well, if we don't get weather on Saturday that we're supposed to, which we're hoping that weather holds off. If Saturday gets postponed, it'll be my first game called. Hubbard traveling to Poland to open the Poland Bulldogs' new softball field on Monday the 27th. So I'm excited for Hubbard's softball season, and I know Hubbard and their community is as well. Let's hear from Bill Amaro. Let's stop talking about it myself. Hear from the coach himself, and hear what he had to say about his softball team here on YSN. Here is Bill Amaro, the head coach of the Hubbard Eagles softball team. Anthony Hartwig here with you, continuing our spring sports previews. We're joined by the head coach of the Hubbard Eagles softball team, Bill Amaro. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, before we dive into this season and all the expectations that you have for the team this year, I want you to kind of reflect on last year. We don't get a chance to have those exit interviews after the season ends. Obviously, you guys did a lot of good things last year. You lost a couple of players to graduation. Reflect on last season, how you think it went, what kind of things you learned about this roster, and what kind of things that you can use to build from last season into this year.
Well, last year was my first year at Hubbard, and we're fortunate to have 4 exceptional seniors who all went on and are currently playing college ball. And our ace of our pitching staff was Haley Croyle, and she was sailing along really well until she had a serious leg injury, which cut her season short about a week before the tournament. It was unfortunate for her, but the good thing is she's healthy. She's actually pitching at Akron right now. She's got a 6-2 record, so she's doing a great job. So the ending is she's very healthy. We finished the year 6-4, lost in the districts. Unfortunately, we would have loved to have our ace of the staff on the mound when we played, but we didn't. And those are the cards that were dealt to us, and we made the best of it. But I think our seniors last year showed a lot of leadership because we had a lot of freshmen last year, and hopefully we're going to use that to spring forward into this season and years to come.
Yeah, it was kind of that bittersweet thing last year where you did have a lot of freshmen, but also a lot of seniors to lead them. So heading into this year, how much do you think having that leadership is going to impact some of your younger players that are maybe stepping into bigger roles this year now as sophomores instead of freshmen?
Well, it's kind of funny because to see the girls that were freshmen last year, how basically they are kind of being thrown into a leadership role as sophomores this year. We are extremely young. We do not have a senior in our program. We have one junior. We have 12 sophomores and 5 freshmen. So as you can tell, those sophomores are basically, along with our one junior, are basically running the program. They're probably stepping into a lot of the roles that seniors normally do at a very young age. And they're feeding off of what they learned from the girls last year. And then I think they're putting their own little flavor on it as well.
Like you said, a very young roster that can have, good things and bad things to it. Obviously it'll help you with the program for the next 2 years because you're not losing anybody next year, but you might have to deal with some growth pains. That being said, I want you to introduce us to the team, go down your roster and tell us some of the big faces that we should watch out for this year on Hubbard softball.
Sure. Our lone junior is Phoebe Rusnak. She will be pitching for us, and she's kind of our handy Hoover of the infield because we literally could play her at any position in the infield. And she is a quiet leader, an excellent softball player, has very good mannerisms, carries herself with a lot of confidence, and she has kind of become the mother hen for all the younger players, and they all look up to her immensely. We have sophomore Lauren Komarek, who is our shortstop, had a great year last year as a freshman. We probably see her as being our leadoff hitter or number 3 hitter. She's just a very good athlete, and she also is a silent leader, just leads by example. Just a very good softball player. Our catcher is another sophomore, Emily Warren. She got a lot of playing time last year between third base, catching, and outfield, and we anticipate her being our starting catcher, and she is developing a good relationship with our pitching staff. Also, sophomore Kaylee Schultz, who is going to be pitching and also playing first base. I think that she gained a lot of confidence from her freshman year last year, and you could see her playing with a whole lot more confidence this year versus last year. And our the one freshman, we're excited about all the freshmen, but we have one freshman I think is going to get a significant playing time. Her name is Haley Taylor. She is a pitcher and an infielder also, very much like Phoebe. We could put her anywhere in the infield. So I think that she's going to get a lot of innings on the mound this year, and she's going to be thrust into some very key situations at a very young age.
Let's go over now your schedule. We've met the team. Let's go over your schedule. Obviously, we'll start with that league that you play in, the NE8, a very tough softball conference with a lot of great programs that are always in conversations when it comes to districts and regionals. What's it like navigating the NE8? Now you're in year 2 of being in this league. What's it like to play some of these teams like the South Range, the Girard, the Poland, Jefferson, Struthers, and all those great teams in the NE8? What's it like navigating the league, and what do you expect out of it this year?
Well, I expect us to be very competitive in the league. You're right in your assessment. There's some very good competition. We have the distinction of opening up with Poland next Monday. They have a brand new field and complex that they're opening up, and I know they're excited. and we get to be the first team that they play at their field. Also, South Range is always tough. Lakeview, Girard, all the teams in the conference are tough, and I've established through the years a good relationship with all the coaches, so we work well together, and we enjoy competing against each other. As far as a non-conference, I really wanted to step up the schedule this year just to introduce these girls to what is out there in softball outside of Mahoning and Trumbull County. And they're being introduced to this at a very young age. I want them to just to see what's out there, the competition. Our non-conference local teams, we play Ursuline, West Branch, Boardman, and we are traveling down south. We have a doubleheader on a Saturday with Richmond Edison and John Glenn High School. Very strong perennial state powerhouses. We're also playing Reynolds out of PA. They're very strong. We scrimmaged them last year and had a good contest. And we're participating in the Wendy's Classic this year too, going down to Ashland for a weekend. The two definite teams I know we're playing are Centerville and Anthony Wayne. Anthony Wayne is a D1 powerhouse. And we also have locally Matthews and Rootstown on our schedule. So to be honest, it's a pretty stiff schedule, and I want these girls to know what it's like to play against good competition, and I only think it's going to make us better. Everything we're doing is for the present, obviously, but then obviously for the future as well, because you could tell with the youth we have, we're building for the long run, and I think we're going to be very competitive in all these games.
One of the interesting matchups I see from your non-conference schedule, of course, Boardman. You have a lot of history with Boardman. You know your name is imprinted in Boardman softball. What's it going to be like to play against Boardman and to be able to kind of go up against a team that you have so much history with?
Well, I always have a soft spot for the maroon and white. I think once Spartan, always a Spartan. And I know several of the girls in the program. As years go on, I know less and less of them. I'm good friends with their head coach, Fred Moots, and their athletic director, Marco Marinucci. So we have good relationships, and we're in contact throughout the year with various things. And I just know that playing Boardman, they are a strong program. They're very talented. They're well coached, and it's just good competition for us. Sometimes it's tough to look over there and see those colors, and I'm in the other dugout. But that's just the way it is, and it's just a game that's going to make us better as a team. And I'm glad that they put us on their schedule.
Last year, during the same interview before the season, we asked you what drew you to this Hubbard job and what made you come back into the high school coaching realm. This year, I want to ask kind of what was so special about Hubbard that made you keep wanting to come back, and what is it about this game and this sport and coaching at this level that keeps you coming back and keeps you coming back to the sport?
Well, I think number one, I have a passion for coaching, and I have a passion for the game of softball. Besides my coaching, Hubbard, I also help coach a summer league team. I operate Sluggers Indoor Complex in Poland, and pretty much 365 days a year, I do something that has to do with softball, whether it's coaching, giving lessons, running clinics. And when I'm bored, I get online and I go to softball websites, just reading coaching articles and things like that. Hubbard has been a great situation. The athletic director, Kevin Hogue, is a great guy. I appreciate all the help and guidance he's given me. The girls have been great. They are just like they're kind of like a sponge. They just want to absorb knowledge, and they really truly want to get better, and they work hard. And I have two great assistant coaches, Matt Skarbinski and Lauren Mon, who really make it easy to coach. We're looking over there and having two people that I consider to be very dear friends by my side. So I think collectively as a group, we have a good coaching staff. And I just, like I said, I just have a passion for coaching, and I have a passion for the game of softball.
Coaches get great by trying to grab resources, and I know you just said that you read a lot of softball articles online. I'm sure that you try to take in from some, really great softball coaches in the national scope. Who are some guys that you've heard from, or you've watched how they coach, that you try to take into as far as resources and trying to make yourself better as a coach?
Well, I'm active in the state softball coaches association, and we have a outstanding clinic that we put on every year, Memorial or Martin Luther King Day weekend, and we always attract a lot of great coaches at that clinic. This past year, we had Mike White from the University of Texas and Mike Andrea, who's a former Olympic coach and coach at Arizona, and it's just interesting just to hear them talk. When they come to the clinics, they're usually swamped by a lot of coaches that have different questions and want to share war experiences and stuff with them. And I don't do that, but I just kind of stay back and just watch how they carry themselves, listen to them talk about situations they do and how they approach it. And you really find out that, situations we come up against as a coach at a high school level, they have very similar situations at the college level, and they started out as high school coaches. They may have more resources being at the college level and things like that. But I just, pretty much I have a lot of different softball websites I follow. They always have a lot of different practice plans and I don't know, just different philosophy. I just think that as far as coaching, you can always learn. And I know even just talking with the coaches in the area and seeing how they handle situations and different things they do with their team. I just think that as a coach, you have to be willing to evolve and you have to be willing to always learn.
Talk about learning and evolving. That's a perfect segue into the next question. Obviously, you've been doing this for a while. How do you think you've evolved and grown as a coach over the years? What kind of big changes do you see in maybe your coaching style and philosophy over the last several years?
Well, I think that as a coach and just in life, you mellow with age. I know that when I'm out there coaching and stuff like that, to be honest with you, I have a granddaughter that's the same age as the girls I'm coaching now. So pretty much I come off as a grandfather, where in my younger coaching days, you came off as the big brother and then you come off as dad. And now I'm coming off as grandpa. And that's okay, because being a grandpa is an awesome thing. But I just think that I don't know. I think I'm way more knowledgeable. It's kind of like that saying, "I wish that I knew now. I wish that when I was younger, I wish I knew what I know now." I sit back and think of how I would possibly could have done a few things differently, but you can't have any regrets. You move on, and you just evolve. And I just think that I try to relate to the players, talk to them a little bit more. I have two very able-bodied assistants that do way more of the physical thing with the girls, as far as hitting infield practice and hitting outfield and stuff like that. And not that I can't, but they enjoy doing it, and I'm not quite as sore at the end of practice either.
Let's get zero back on this team real quick. Obviously, you have a couple of days here, less than a week before opening day on Monday. What are some things on the checklist still that you want to try to, narrow down or iron down before Monday, before opening day?
Well, just like every team, you're hoping to be outside as much as you can. You can get so much more done outside. We were fortunate enough; we were outside the last 2 days, and we're looking to be outside this afternoon. But looking at the weather forecast, that may be the end of it until Monday. We're just going over a lot of different situational things to do. I'll be very honest with us being so young. We're not 100% sure. We have a lot of combinations because we have a very talented group, but we're really not quite sure the best person to put at this position, depending on who pitches too. So there's a lot of different combinations. We know that we're going to have a lot of situational things to do. And with us having a young team, I think the biggest challenge of us as coaches is not to be in awe of the other team. We have most of our team are 14 and 15-year-old girls, maybe getting 16. You play against seniors on other teams. They're 17, 18 years old. They're playing up quite a bit. and we just need them to play with confidence, not be in awe of what's going on, and understanding that yes, they can compete and they are just as good. And I think once our girls' confidence grows, their talent and the record as a team will also grow as well. So I think just developing confidence in these young players.
Coach, before we get you out of here, you've already kind of given a shout out to your assistants, but I want you to dive into them a little bit more, introduce them to us and what they bring to the softball program and how much they help you along the way.
Sure. Well, we're fortunate to have two very good assistant coaches. The first one is Lauren Mon. She is a Boardman product. I met her through softball and through my wife. My wife taught Italian at Boardman High School, and Lauren was one of her students. And I run different softball camps and stuff at Sluggers, and I'm always looking for high school players to help with the clinics and give back. And Lauren started helping me with my clinics when she was a sophomore in high school. And here she's a sophomore, junior in college right now, and she's helped me every year. And I would just watch her and her mannerisms with the girls, her knowledge of the game, and I say, this young lady has coaching ability, and I see coaching in her future. So when I got the job at Hubbard, I reached out to her, and I was very fortunate that she said yes. She brings a lot to the game, but as a former catcher, I kind of let her work with the pitchers. I think that's one thing you talked about, how I evolved as a coach. I kind of let somebody else handle the pitchers if they're knowledgeable enough, and Lauren certainly is knowledgeable enough to do that. She developed a very good relationship with them. And our other assistant coach, his name is Matt Skarbinski. Matt has his roots in Boardman as well. I used to coach him when he played Little League Baseball when he was 10, 11, and 12 years old. That's how far back we go. I became good friends with his family, stayed in contact with him throughout the years. And he used to coach summer ball, and he had a daughter who graduated from Fitch a couple years ago. And I knew that he knew a lot about the game, was a good coach, and had an itching for getting back into softball. And when I had a chance to snag Matt up, I did as well. So I'm just very fortunate to have them.
Coach, thank you so much for your time today, getting us a solid preview of Hubbard softball this year. We can't wait to get the season started next Monday at Poland, and then your home opener the next day on Tuesday, weather permitting. We're definitely hoping for better weather than last spring. Coach, thanks again for your time, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you for everything all you guys do for high school sports and athletics. We're lucky to have you guys.
You got it, Coach. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
That was Bill Amaro, the head coach of the Hubbard Eagles. I am really high on Hubbard this year. I think, especially when it comes to postseason, I think, with their schedule being a tick up for, like Coach Amaro was talking about, and obviously they open the season right out of the gates in the NE8, which I think is always tough to do when you're trying to figure out lineups. It's always tougher for teams that are have a lot of new players to open the season right off the jump with a conference, a really important conference game, because that first week you're trying to figure out who fits where and what your lineup is kind of looking like, and you have to do that against one of the best teams in the conference. That's tough. So one, I'm excited to see how Hubbard handles that, but two, I'm also really excited to see how much they're going to develop as the season goes on. And I think whatever their record ends up being with this tough schedule, I really think they could be world beaters in the tournament. They've been in the districts 2 years in a row. I know they graduated quite a few high-level seniors from last year, but I think they can get right back to districts. They're 2 years removed from being this close to upsetting Marlington in the district championship. That was 2 years ago. Last year, they were one of the favorites to get back to there, but then, of course, the injuries that happened towards the end of the season hindered their runs. So I think they have, their junior and sophomore class definitely have those experiences. And I think they're bringing in really good freshmen. I'm excited to see what they're able to do this year. Like I said, especially excited to see what we're talking about Hubbard and how we're talking about them at the end of the season after we see a lot of these players develop. They might take their lumps. They might be a team that's going into postseason, 500, right on that 500 mark. But if they are, then I think they're going to be really dangerous, because not only are they going to be developed and experienced and molded, but they're also going to be going up against a lot of really good competition that will get them ready for that district tournament in Division II. So I'm excited to see what Hubbard brings to the table in the NE8. I think they're a contender in there. A lot of people talk about South Range and Poland at the top, which is rightfully where it should be. That's where the conversation should start because that's where it's been the last couple of years. But I think there are some teams in that conference, Hubbard being one of them, that have that sneaky little, jab they can throw in. Lakeview almost threw a monkey wrench into the whole NE8 last year. Remember, they beat South Range in one of their games against the Raiders last season. So Lakeview's in there, Hubbard's in there. I think Girard will be in there this year too, as far as teams that can really throw their hat in the ring and send that NE8. I'm excited. Let's go. We have one more show before the start of softball season tomorrow from 1 to 2. We're going to have an MVAC show tomorrow because we're going to be hearing from coaches out of the MVAC grade tier and champion head coach Cheryl Weaver talk about a legend in the softball community. You'll be able to hear an interview with her tomorrow, as well as one of her conference opponents that she'll be playing this year. And I believe they play in spring break. I think that's where their series lines up. The first Monday of spring break will be Garfield and Champion. We'll hear from Garfield's head coach, Tina Fallhaber, tomorrow as well. Both those are going to be pre-recorded interviews that we'll be able to play on the show live here on Running Point, as always, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We thank you so much for tuning in today. We thank Greenwood Chevrolet for their constant support. I'm going to put their logo up real quick for the last couple minutes of this show. I took it down during the interviews because they didn't really match up with the backdrop of the interviews, of course. But Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, remember to check them out. If you are in the hunt for a new car or a used car, make sure to head over to Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown or their website, greenwoodchevrolet.com. Talk to you about the tire matching deal that they have where they'll match the price of any tires that you find somewhere else or a tire that you find somewhere else within 30 days of your purchase at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They have a ton of deals like that. You can check them all out at greenwoodchevrolet.com. Make sure to do that. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, 1 to 2. Once again, 2 MVAC coaches. You'll hear from Cheryl Weaver from Champion and Tina Fallhaber from Garfield tomorrow on the show. Thanks again for tuning in today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the evening and try to stay dry out there, huh?